All right. What's up? My name is Tucker Costin. I'm making this video after doing a couple of good long ski trips, and on that Nordic skiing webpage, Facebook page, there's just a lot of questions about the Nordic cross-country skiing setup that I feel like I can answer. And I'm not really one, this is the first time I've ever made a video like this. I'm not really one to make videos or do anything like this, but I was just thinking a lot about how when I first started skiing in Alaska 4 years ago, how useful it would have been if someone would have just consolidated something like this for me. I've had to do a lot of digging in blogs and watching alpine climbing videos and things like that, and I saw a good Denali guide tips video where he just laid everything out and explained why he takes it and what he takes, and I was like, wow, that's awesome. But I haven't figured out all of this on my own. I got a lot of it from Luke Mel, who's got really cool, awesome videos and has really good in-depth blog posts. So I took so much of his information and I applied it to my own stuff. Sorry, the dog wants in 1 second. Come on. All right. So this is probably going to be a little bit longer of a video. Instead of doing it in a huge write-up, I figured this would just be easier. I'm a better writer than I am a speaker, I think. I'm kind of an idiot when it comes to talking, so I'll do my best. But yeah, I guess we'll just get into it. I'm gonna put a link, somehow I'll figure it out, to Luke Mel's website and his blog posts and everything, and that's just such gold, especially if you're up here in Alaska trying to figure out how to manage your gear setup with all of the weird stuff that we have. So I've figured out most of this just because where we're at in Fairbanks, I'm a seasonal worker. I'm kind of the lamest ski bum ever because I just cross-country ski. But I go out almost all winter for the last 3 winters, go out almost every single day. The dog trails are connected right to the house every single day, -40 through 40 degrees, different snow types, different trail qualities, going through overflow, spending a lot of nights out, just figuring out. And this is the system that I use, and it's a lot of it's very unconventional, and that's why it's kind of cool, I feel like, to share it, because it seems unconventional, but it works super well. And the bigger marketing of Nordic skiing seems to be for people that want to go out and ski 5 miles on groomed trail, and this is not that kind of video and that kind of setup. This is for multi-day backcountry trips where you're ending up in different snow types, different weather, going through water, blah blah blah. Okay, first things first, I guess we'll talk about skis, because that's what people probably care the most about, and we'll get that out of the way, then you can stop watching and you don't care about the camping and multi-day stuff. What I've used for the last 3 winters are these Trans-Nordic Fisher 66. I'm about 165 pounds. I use 195 length. And I really like these because they got the metal edges. They're really tough. They don't tend to break. This is my second pair. I broke the first pair after about 1,000 miles of skiing. I didn't wax them very much. I did not take good care of them, so that might be why. But the biggest thing about these, and I think Matt Seuss has this ability as well now. I don't really pay that much attention, but disclaimer, I'm not a skier. I don't know anything about skiing other than I do it a lot. So all the technical stuff I leave to the ski shop people, and they usually just raise their eyebrow at me and shake their head when I ask them if I can do something. So what you'll notice, the biggest thing on this is a Dynafit toe piece and just a little piece of plastic back here. So why a Dynafit Alpine touring toe piece? biggest thing is the boots. Having boots that are plastic and hard, that doesn't make very much sense. It seems like your mobility is gonna really suffer, but it's so worth it for the ability to let your feet sweat all day and then bivvy out at -40, which I've done multiple nights in a row. Your boot will be frozen solid, and you can wake up and just immediately jam your foot in there and it'll be warm. And that's what you need that, right? So these are what I've been using lately. Do I love them with all my heart? No. They're TLT X Dynafit. They're pretty good. They're a little, what I found out works best for me is having them be a little bit bigger, a little bit loose. You get air in there and helps your foot stay warm, which is really nice. Are you gonna get blisters? Hell yeah, you're gonna get blisters. I mean, you just gotta use them enough and then you'll get calluses, and then, you know, what ends up happening is that you can end up building up these blisters, and then you go on a 50-mile day and you've got your foot kind of dialed in that boot. You do a 50-mile day, a couple rest days, no problems. But when you put on a heavy pack, which is what I use instead of pulling a sled, it changes everything. Your foot is in there a little different. Then if you're doing day to day with your foot being wet, you're going to end up getting blisters. That's just the way it is. What do I do for blister care? I use this really cool tape called Suck It Up tape. You know, it works great. You don't even have to put it on. Yeah, but you can pop these liners out. The reason I don't like the TLTX is just because it's a little harder to get the liner out. So if you're linking up cabins and everything, it works great. You just pop this out, nice and flimsy. I've tried to get some better liners that aren't what comes with the Intuitions. I mean the Dynafits, I've tried to get some Intuition liners, but the ones I got I didn't really like. These just end up working just fine. You don't really notice the difference in temperature. -20, they're good. -40, they're good. And the one big thing that I've changed that actually really helped a lot is the insole. And I got convinced by a guy at a ski shop to get one of these. What the hell are they called? I don't remember. They're expensive. You mold your foot to it. You know, you got to sit there and have a guy touch your feet a lot, and he'll mold it to it. But I used to have like cushy ones and everything, and these ones that fit your foot, the form of your foot, oh man, it helps with bruising, because that's the big thing. Your feet are going to swell up, so that's why you want a little bit of bigger boot, but your feet are going to swell up and they're going to start to hurt. And if you have a little bit bigger boot and an insole that is the shape of your foot, there's a lot less stress in there, it turns out, and your feet won't swell up as fast. If your feet do swell up, compression socks work great when you sleep. Helps a lot. Doesn't solve the problem all the way, but works pretty good. I really do like the Dynafits. This is what I had been using before. They're really tough. They're not going to break. Or they will break, but not right off the bat. When I did break a pair of these straight into a long ski trip, over like 150-mile ski trip within 10 miles, I had cuff pop off of these ones. I like these ones a lot. These are, I think, the TLT 6 or something, but this popped off. Put a ski strap on it, held for the 100 whatever miles after that. I like these cuff ones that just pop out. Liner's super easy to get out compared to it. I cut off a lot of the buckles because I don't really need it. And then you can put a piece of tape over this or whatever you got to do in order to keep it from locking that into place. So, I mean, a lot of people are going to hate on it, but I don't know how many people are going and doing multi-day trips, -20s, you know, and if you have those Alpina leather boots and they get wet, oh man, I don't know, dude. Okay, this is all over the place, I'm sorry. These, if you go through overflow in these, no problem. You just chip it off. No problem. This is the easiest in. You put your feet in and out all day long. Works great. Keep it out of walk mode. Keep it in walk mode. I like to keep it out of walk mode so that when I do crash for whatever reason on technical trail, my boot just pops out and it won't damage the ski as much. I bring extra screws and a little drill bit just in case something happens here. I had some plumb bindings at one point, and I broke after 500 miles or so one of the connection pieces here. So bring tennis shoes, do whatever you got to do, or bring an extra toe piece. You can buy the toe pieces on skimo.com, just the toe pieces. So they work great. You got a lot more control. I mean, I'm hooked. I can thank Luke Bell for that. The Wilderness Classic guys are the ones that really pioneered this. And if you go into a ski shop, they're going to be like, what do you want me to do? And you're like, trust me, just please, can you just try and figure out how to put this on? And then, okay, now we're finally back to it. The biggest thing about these is this quick skin. I think that's what they call it, easy skin. When you buy the easy skin, it's going to be really long and really fat. I cut mine down quite a bit. You'll see as you use it where it starts to pull the mohair off. That'll be your kick zone, right? You'll be able to kind of gauge and figure out where that kick zone is if you don't already know where it is, and just cut it. It's totally fine. Cut it however you want. They're pretty expensive. They're like $70 each. They last about 500 miles. And what breaks on them is this connection right here. It starts to fray. I think you could actually probably fix that in the field if you needed to, but I don't know. Carry an extra pair if you need to. They're not very heavy. The sickest thing about this is that they just pop right off, and you can just kick wax it, and you don't like the kick wax, you're not getting the grip, you put them right back on over that kick wax. No problems, multiple times a day if you need to. You don't have to scrape the wax off. It works really well. The glue doesn't seem to have a problem with doing that. Of course, it's going to wear it down a little bit over time, but I haven't had really any problems with it. The only reason these wear out for me is because of the fraying right here. Okay. Sorry, I got a little bit of a cough. Metal edges are great if you want to bother to sharpen them. Whatever. I mean, I don't really notice. But yeah, I can make these last these currently have about 900 miles on them just from this winter. Work pretty good. $300. Not bad. Okay. So transitioning to, we were on skins. So scales, if you want to use scales, I don't know, dude, maybe, but you're not as versatile at all, right? The skins work great. And if you go out every single day on the same trails from -20 or whatever, how cold, all the way up where it's starting to melt in the 32 range, you're going to figure out that the glide and the kick is so random and so weird some days. But what the ultimate system is that will always kind of cover your bases is you got extra blue special. That's all I use. I don't use any other ones. I don't use colder ones or warmer ones or anything. And you got your synthetic cork, right? And you got to have this bad boy for de-icing, scraping ice off, and whatever the hell. So those things in your pocket, just keep this in your pocket up against your body heat. It'll keep it warm. -20, you'll still be able to do it. You put on what? You're standing there freezing your nuts off. Put on a layer, synthetic wax or synthetic cork. Do like 8 layers or something. And if the snow is really stealing wax from you, it's really bad quality, you're gonna have to re-wax like every hour, which works well because like every hour you want to eat like 300 to 400 calories, drink a little bit of water every hour, and then that's your excuse to just stop and put this on, right? I usually am waxing as much as I can. I'd rather wax than put the skins on, because once you have the skins on, you can really feel them slowing you down. And that's why scales I'm kind of like not really into, because then you have something permanent down there that's slowing you down, you know? So, I don't know, teach their own. But people try to overcomplicate this. It doesn't have to be that complicated. I don't know jack, but this works just great. This one. This one little stick lasts about 500 miles or so. So, works pretty well. I don't even keep the cap on it. I just keep it in my pocket, and it's totally fine. Yeah, so waxing, I would say between the waxing works well between -10 degrees and 25 degrees, at least here in Alaska, every time I've figured it out. Once it gets too warm, the wax, obviously, it's not going to work. You could use warmer wax. I don't know. Your glide is already going to be way quicker when it's that warm, and you barely even notice that the skins are on when it's that warm. Then when it's that cold, down to -15, it'll just eat your wax off like boom. And you also have really bad kick. You're already going to have shitty glide, so you might as well just put the skins on and, just suffer through it. Yeah, there we go. One thing, I go into a lot of ski shops, and this is kind of why I'm making a video like this too. You go into a lot of ski shops, and if you start skiing a lot, even if you don't know anything about skiing, and you're going to be talking to a kid who maybe only skied 20 miles that winter, and you're going to realize that they don't know what they're talking about. And one of the things that I had to figure out, which everyone probably already knows except for me, is hot waxing these bad boys to keep them healthy and not drying out. Didn't know that was a thing. If now you're rolling your eyes and being like, this guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, fair. You don't have to keep listening to me. This is just what I've slowly figured out, and I probably could learn a lot more. Feel free to hate on me in whatever comment section you're in. Waxing, I started hot waxing like once a week. Works great. You'll see they'll start to dry out. I auto wax these, but I'm lazy. It's the end of the season. I don't really want to. See, they're gonna dry out. Whatever. You don't have to. I made the last pair last 1,000 miles without ever doing it. But the reason I didn't is because I went in and this 12-year-old kid was like, you don't need to wax them. The wax is just going to rub off if you go that far. And then I went into the next one, and the guy was like, dude, what the hell? Look how dry this is. This is why it fucking broke. And I'm like, oh, sorry, geez, my bad. I don't know anything. All right, cool. That's the cross-country skis. I'll go into the skate skis now. I just started using skate skis this winter. I used to skate ski more, so I have the muscle built up, but I love it, but I don't really have access to good trails, so I don't do it that often. But if you're gonna go on a really long trip, and then you're staring at this beautiful open trail, and you're like, wow, I wish I could skate ski on this, it would be so much faster. Then you can get yourself a pair of skate skis. They don't weigh anything. Just put them on your backpack or your sled or whatever. That's the other thing I forgot to mention about that boot setup with these dope AT boots. You can skate ski with these bad boys, no problem, easy. They work great. Are you gonna get blisters in new places? Yes, you are. Double sock. Figure it out. You'll figure it out. If you really want to do the long trips, it's worth the sacrifice of the weight and the safety of having warm, comfortable feet. Comfortable being relative. I mean, I don't know. Whatever. I'm not going to talk about it too much more. This was my struggle of the winter. Getting a pair of these toe pieces on a pair of skate skis. You're going to get a lot of guff if you go into a ski shop and you ask them to do that. Because guess what? These things are all foam core or whatever the hell, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. But apparently, what are these? Aerolite Skate 60 Fisher. These have a plate right in here where you don't have to. I actually went on Skimo or some website and bought a mounting plate so that it could be more narrow. And I actually asked Luke Mel before I decided to do this if he had ever done it, and he put an aluminum plate here for mounting. And then he told me, you're gonna break them. And I was like, at this point, you're gonna break them here? Maybe, yeah. No, he said you're gonna break them somewhere else, like you're gonna crash and you're gonna break them. Well, guess what? Yeah, fucking damn it. They worked really well until then. They worked, well, don't hate me on this, but 150 miles I got out of them, and I freaking loved every mile that I was skate skiing and not classicing. I was going at a lovely speed. And the reason that these broke is because I saw a downhill that I should not have skied down, but I was sleep deprived and stupid. Gave it a shot, popped it off. They still actually work. I finished my trip doing great with them, but they're not going to hold up anymore. If anyone has any Fisher Revolutions that they don't want or want to sell for a lot of money, they can definitely take advantage of me. Those are wooden, I think, all the way through. Super stiff, short little skis. Really hard to find. Everyone in Alaska freaking snaps them up. But yeah, put these on your backpack. You just start switching your skis back and forth and the trail gets good. And you're not going to regret it, I promise. Skate skiing with a pack versus a pole and a sled. That's to each their own. There's a really good blog slash website. I think it's Chet Furman, Chet, Fehrman. Really good information about skate skis and whether you want to pack or not, versus pulling a polk sled. I don't like to pull a polk sled. I don't like messing around with it. But I don't like carrying a lot of weight. So now we're going to transition, I guess, into what to carry. And then I'm actually going to talk about clothes too. And if I've lost you already, then you know, maybe you'll be interested, maybe you won't. We'll get to clothes later. I'm just going to do quick, like, what is in a backpack. If your backpack is over 35 pounds, in that 40 range, you're going to hate skate skiing and you're really not going to like it in the beginning. But if your pack is less than 25 pounds and you're doing a multi-day trip, especially in Alaska, you're asking for it, you know? So you have to have it in that 30-pound range in order to not be an asshole that needs to get rescued, okay? And I've pulled off like a 6-day trip. I don't think it finally got warmer than 0, but most of the days it was -20 to -40, and I never dried out, and I got super wet, and I didn't get any frostbite, and I didn't die, and I wasn't that close to dying either, because I brought the right stuff, like those boots with liners that will keep your feet warm. And you gotta sacrifice bringing a lot of weight if you're gonna do stuff like that. If you're just doing link ups, like little cabins, at 25 pounds you can get away with. But mainly it's just gonna be food, right? So, and Luke Mel, again, has a really good video of how to figure out what food works best. And his ratio that I live by now, which I think is awesome, it's, I think, 4 calories per gram weight. So you're just in Costco and you're buying all the granola bars or whatever, and you just can do some quick math where you just divide the serving size weight per calorie. And if it's that 4 calories per gram, right? Yeah. If it's above that, then you want to bring it, right? Okay. I guess let's start with water. Sure. I bring in my math. What works for me is I consume about 3 liters of water per every 12 hours of moving, right? I bring a Nalgene, at least 1. I usually bring 2, depending on where I am and how much snow I want to melt. Yeah. Okay. So 1. Yeah. God damn. Okay. Nalgene. How do you keep your Nalgenes from freezing when it's -20 degrees outside all day long? Well, you start with them really warm, and then you put them in one of these OGOR thingy-mabops. Put it on your belt. This thing is awesome. There's some string in there. This thing works really well. You're going to drink your water. You're drinking about a quarter a liter every hour. You'll drink your water before it freezes. Put Tang in there, liquid IV, brings the salinity up, keeps it from freezing faster. Okay, then you go through one of these. Where's your other Nalgene? You've wrapped it in your puffy coat or whatever on one of your other outside things, like your puffy pants, whatever your emergency stuff is to grab. You just wrap it in that. It's the same thing as this. If you buy those, they're like Mountain Guide, whatever, super dense, thick foam things. They suck, man. Trust me, they stink. If you can get your hands on one of these outdoor research things, they're great. And then you just have a hydro flask, warm water, cold water. It'll keep your water from freezing. Super good. The reason the Nalgenes are nice is because at the end of your day, your ritual will be to melt snow, get it really warm. You get in your sleeping bag, you put one of these in between your legs and another one at your feet, right in the femoral artery, and you'll sleep super warm, even if it's negative 30 degrees. Maybe not super warm, but it feels great. If you're not doing anything stimulating all day except ski, you'll just daydream about cuddling warm water bottles. And then when you wake up, you already have your water and it's still warm because you had it in your sleeping bag, and you can start your day negative 20 or whatever it is, and you're set to go. I don't make breakfast. You just get up and you have to start moving. And then once you're moving, then you can boil more water if you need to or whatever. So now that we're on the water thing, how do you boil water? 3 ways. Build a fire, number 1. And I think that is my favorite awesome method. That seems like it's going to take a shitload of time and waste a lot of your energy. But holy crap, if you can get used to doing it and get good at it, it's almost faster than using the stove. And it's such a good morale boost. It's crazy morale boost, especially if you do it at night. So this is like a non-negotiable thing. A little silky saw. And the reason I think that it's important to just really start loving on the fire, building a little fire, is my mindset when I go out on longer trips, even if I know I'm not anywhere near water or anything like that, is the scenario that should always be running through your brain is, what if I fell in water and it's negative 20? What if the overflow got really bad and you get soaked up to your knees or higher, which has happened to me before? What are you going to do? What is your solution? And so the solution is a silky saw. You get cotton balls, you soak them in oil or Vaseline and mix them all up. And then you got your waterproof matches. These should live in your pocket, They should live in your pocket. The cotton balls are great. You just spread them out a little bit. And then you're just always kind of looking around for standing dead. Small sticks work amazing. The silky saw solves a lot of your problems there. It's non-negotiable. And you just build a fire, and you can melt your water in your little pot really fast, and you're not wasting fuel. And it works. It's my favorite way to do it. Then obviously you got your stove types. This MSR one, this Whisper Light one, it works great, except when it doesn't, and it freaking breaks, which it will do because it's got a lot of little parts in it. Mainly the part that's going to break on you is the pump. This has to stay warm. If it gets really cold, the plastic shrinks in it, and there's an O-ring in here that doesn't like being cold, and it doesn't like being wet, and it doesn't like everything. So you have to this has to live somewhere near you or on you, or it's not going to be happy. Then you have your fuel. I put gloves over this. These get super cold, and they're not fun to mess around with. About this one I think is 800 milliliters. 800 milliliters, plus there's a smaller one that's 5. That and a 5 at negative 20 for 6 or so days, that'll last you melting most of your water, believe it or not. So, but if you're making little fires, then you're not even really thinking about it. So usually if I bring the Whisper Light, I just bring one. I bring this, and it works good. If you want, bring 2 of these. That's a suggestion, but I'd rather just make fires. They're just so easy. If you're doing cabin link-ups though, and you don't, it's kind of annoying it actually takes longer to melt water on the little stoves and in cabins and things. And if it is warmer out, I'll just bring the jet boil, and I love the jet boil. You can get it to work in actually pretty cold temperatures if you bring a little bowl with it and you make sure you save just enough water so that when you plop it in there, the water line comes up. And the way that this works is the fuel will separate in there when it gets cold. It doesn't like the cold, the isopropyl, whatever. You know, I took advanced chemistry classes in college and I've forgotten everything. But put water in there, it'll push that fuel up to the top and you'll get it to work a lot better. You can bring little windscreen, that goes with that bad boy. So you're gonna want that. And then your jet boil. The jet boil is just so fast and easy. It's dirty quick on getting the water hot, especially when you're doing the cabins. But for me, when I do bring a jet boil, you're like, well, how do I melt my water when it's when my stove broke or it's too cold to get the jet boil to work? Well, you just get yourself a little handle that you stole off your other pot, and you wrap some wire around it, and boom. Now you can just plop this bad boy right in the fire. It'll work great. Sweet. All right, stove. Okay, I'll just gonna go into this real quick. Toolkit. You better bring a toolkit. What do you got to bring in your toolkit? You got to make sure you got pliers. So you're gonna have a Leatherman. You're gonna bring a little bit of string, paracord. You are gonna bring a drill bit. Why do you freaking want a drill bit? Your bindings might pop out, the screw might pop out, whatever. It's not that hard. You just get the drill bit and you get the little thingy and you got a drill bit. Bring some screws. Wood screws, binding screws. Bug the people at the ski shop for extra screws. You're gonna want to bring some hose clamps. This is all on Luke Mel's website as well. He's amazing. I love him. I'm a big fan of him. If I ever meet him in person, I'll fangirl really hard. It'll be super awkward. Bring some, what are these called? I don't know. Bring bolts and stuff. And make sure you got the screwdrivers to fix them. You can bring Gorilla Glue, but if it's really cold, you know, I don't know. It's just in case. What if you end up in a cabin you can warm up or whatever? Some wire, baling wire, or whatever it's called. Sweet. All right. And why do you want to bring that? What if your skis don't break? Well, what if your ski pole breaks? Here's what you do. If your ski pole breaks into a 300-mile, or it breaks 10 miles into a 300-mile race, what are you going to do? Well, sometimes the basket pops off or whatever. Sometimes the thing just freaking snaps. What kind of ski pole do you use? I don't really care. I don't really know. Am I going to bring aluminum ones? Not really. I don't like the idea that they might bend. I'd rather just have it snap and I just get rid of it. But what if your ski pole breaks? All right, you just have you have this, right? You start looking around in the woods and you look for this nice straight stick, and you take one of your wood screws and you get your Leatherman pliers and you pop the head off of it. You get your drill bit out, you drill a nice hole in there, you thread your wood screw in there, put a hose clamp on this, because what's gonna happen is all that pressure is gonna want to push all the wood out, so that's what your hose clamp is for. You take another screw, put it up here, take some of your string or your old ski strap from your broken ski, put it on there, and you got a beautiful ski pole that's definitely not going to break compared to your other ski pole, which now you're going to be questioning the whole time. This bad boy he lasted 275 miles. No problem. And on a lot of ice. Worked great. Do I have a basket on here? No. Did I need one? Not really, because I was lucky. But I'm already using ski poles, nice and tall, up to the chin. I like it. Make sure you sharpen your ski pole, or make sure you sharpen these with something. Or if you forgot, you do have your Leatherman, and it has a file, and you can use that. Skate ski poles are a little long. They're a little awkward, right? If you're going up hills, just get some bike tape for handlebars, wrap it on the bottom, and then you can put skull tape or whatever, hockey tape over it, and then you can just transition. Works really, really well. Where my ski pole broke actually lately was right here. Super annoying. I had been in the ski shop the day before and I was like, should I buy new ones? And the guy was like, well, I mean, if there's no hairline fractures anywhere, and I checked all the bottom and you know, I was like, oh no, I think it's good. And then it's freaking, I guess there was one up here. It got me. I don't use any fancy straps, just this. And the reason is makes a perfect transition into hands, gloves, what we're gonna wear. I'll just address this real quick in the toolkit before I get into that. Bring ski straps. I usually bring 4. You will use them for random things that you never thought you would. You don't bring tape. It's not gonna work in the cold unless you're like I used Gorilla Tape for a while. I carried a roll of Gorilla Tape with me forever. The one time I really needed to use it, it was too cold and it just didn't work. So these seem to work good, that and string. I turned into a fanny pack guy this year to hold all my snacks and everything, and I hate having to use it because you want to bend over and it's such a pain in the butt. But geez, it's really nice to have all your essentials. I put like, basically in my brain is like, if I did fall through ice like we were talking about earlier, you're gonna rip your pack off or whatever, and then there goes all your important shit. But not if you got your saw and some more food and extra matches in here, right? Then you're okay. I put extra gloves in there. I hate bringing extra shit. I don't bring any extra clothes except for a pair of socks, right? And a pair of gloves. I bring a bigger pair of gloves because it's the idea of that you did get wet and now you're in emergency mode. You need to get your wet gloves off and put on some bigger dry ones, right? So bigger pair of gloves. I sweat like I shouldn't say this, but my old boss got it in me, like a 5-cent whore on nickel night. I sweat like I sweat a lot. And so it took me forever to figure out a glove system that I liked. What I do like a lot is the really thin gloves. They're gonna get wet. These outdoor research ones work really well. And that's pretty much all I use. That since I sweat so much, my hands are really hot. -20, this is pretty much all I got. The only reason I amp up in the hand coverage is when wind usually comes into play. And that's when I just go with these light. If you're up in Alaska, Apocalypse Design, but if you're not, I'm sure you can find them on Amazon or whatever the hell website. Or super light, extra large big mitts that are goofy and super awkward or whatever, but that's why you have those weird you have loose big ski straps that aren't complicated. You just shove these in and then you got your gloves in there. And these are not that insulated, and your hands can be wet and you can get them wet gradually over the course or whatever, but your hands will be warm and it works pretty well. Like wet hands, gosh, I'm so freaking tired of people talking about don't sweat, you'll die, don't sweat, you'll die. You can sweat a lot and you can get super wet. You won't die. You just gotta keep moving. And then if you can make a fire, because you're really good at it, you can kind of dry your stuff out. You can sweat. You're not gonna die. It can be -40 for multiple days in a row. You're gonna be cold. But as long as you're moving and you get your layering figured out and you're producing your own heat, you have enough food, you're gonna be fine. These are Apocalypse Design, I said that. So that's pretty much all I do for hand wear, plus the extra. I have turned into a kid who really likes hand warmers. Use one pair a day. You use them right in the morning when you wake up in your sleeping bag. You open them, you let them warm up, you put them on your clavicles, and you're like, oh, I don't want to get up. It's so nice. You put them in your gloves, and it'll make your life so much better. Then you start moving, you get all warm. Take them, put them in a Ziploc bag, tuck them away. Since they interact with air chemically to work, that you can keep them alive. So that's if you're really trying to cut weight. Just bring multiple pairs for a day. If you're only going a 3-day trip, bring like 10 pairs of hand warmers and you won't regret it. It's really a good trick. And then if it is getting really cold, bring them back out and put them in your palms. Or if you're smart, you'll have a cool system where you can put them like up on your wrist and get that where the blood flow is coming from. And it actually works really well to put them up higher. But usually I just have them in the palm, and it'll keep your hand warmer. Like those -20 days works pretty well. Okay, there's that. All right, I guess we're into clothing, and then we can do sleep stuff, and we'll be done. And how long is this? Holy shit, 40 minutes. It might be a little too long, but whatever. I'm not really gonna edit this. So, okay. A buff, a hat. You see a lot of the Darth Vader kids out there with that stuff for your lungs. Maybe you're gonna be one of those. I use a wild rag. If you use one of those big fleece buffs, what's gonna end up happening is you breathe out a lot. Where you're gonna actually get more wet, especially if you're not sweating, once it gets into that 0 to -10 range and lower, is you're gonna accumulate so much moisture on your chest. And if you can get lighter stuff like a wild rag, which is just silk rag, you can tuck it in underneath and it's not going to get as wet. And if it does get wet, it dries out a lot better than those big fleece buffs. But yeah, the real secret to not sweating as much, and I sweat like crazy, is you have to have your head basically covered super warm. And then there's these ones that have little air holes. Works great. Works really good. And you just pop that up on your nose. Sweet. Covers that. I sweat a lot. What do I use for a layering system? I've had a lot of struggles trying to figure it out, but I think I like this one. And all it is light smart wool, another light smart wool with a little hood. And I can ski at -10 with that and not be cold and not sweat at all. And I really like it. If you do so it is -10 and there's a little bit of a breeze, super light, cheap windbreaker. You can waterproof that, works super well. And then what I do end up using a lot is just one of those generic Patagonia / Mountain Hardwear light. They're not puffies, I don't know what the hell they are. Then that's your outer layer. And the reason that this is really nice is if you don't want to transfer that sweat layer to the next ones, you kind of have this little barrier. This is going to get wet. This is going to get wet. That's okay. You're going to have your oh shit puppy. Whoops. Your oh shit puppy, which lives somewhere where you can get it really quick, right? Because anytime you stop to boil water or do anything, you need to put this thing on in order to keep the body temperature up. And what's going to end up happening if you are already super sweaty is that you're going to start to transfer water to this bad boy over multiple days, and it will end up getting wet over like day 4. You're going to be like, wow, this thing's not really warm anymore. Why? I use it. I don't know what this one is. It's like 800 something Mont Bell. I like it because it's not too heavy. I have one I use for mushing. One of those Mountain Hardwear ones that you see like people using on Everest. This doesn't pack down as much, but you're going to be safe and comfortable knowing that you're not going to freeze to death. Yeah, I don't bring this one as much anymore, but works really well. You can get one of those. They're $900 or something new. People buy them for mountaineering trips and then they don't want them anymore. You can get them for like $300 cheap online. That brings me back to the boot thing. If you need to test out all these AT boots, go on eBay. They're $200. Try a bunch of different sizes, and then if you don't like them, resell them. It works. You'll come out net. That's the way to do it, because you're going to need to try multiple boots, and it might take multiple days, and you're going to beat them up a little bit. You can buy a pair of $800,000 ski boots that are 3 years old, barely used, for like $200 on eBay. Just live on eBay and it'll work. That's where I've gotten most of my boots, and then I just resell them on Facebook Marketplace for what I buy them for. I don't like try to make a profit on them, but it works really well. I made the jump to buying brand new, these TLTXs brand new, because I thought that the Dynafit, I thought that the generation was going to be similar, but it didn't quite translate. So even then I learned my lesson. I'm just going to buy used ones from here on out. Then you feel less bad when you're punching them or whatever, and you're beating them up more, and they're brand new and you already destroyed them. One other thing I forgot is I put little screws, little micro spikes here, here, and here. 2, 3. They don't touch the ski. You'll have to test it out. For icy, overflowy stuff. Works great. I put some in my running shoes as well, and bring a pair of running shoes, because if your ski breaks and you end up walking in these for really far, you're gonna hate your life, especially if you're in the middle of the trip and you got to go back either way, an equidistant. Okay, we're getting there. This is gonna be an hour-long video. Sleep. You get into your thing. You decide you're gonna sleep on the ground wherever. I do not bring a stuff sack or anything. I just stuff this Mountain Hardwear -40, super expensive, heavy, biggest thing you bring. I just stuff that thing in the bottom. No stuff sack or anything. And then you just get to your campsite, you take off the top layer, boom, this comes out. I put a really thin bivy sack over it, and it lives in that. Keeps it a little drier. Your sleeping bag is going to start to get wet after day 3. If you don't dry out, it's not going to hold heat anymore very well, and you're going to be cold. I did a trip that was like 5 days, and it was cold the whole time, and I never dried out. And when I weighed my pack at the end, the water that I'd accumulated in my sleeping bag and my puffy jacket made my pack weigh the same, even though I'd consumed 5 days of food. So that gives you kind of a perspective on how much water you're going to pump out. It's just the way it's going to be, you know. When you get to your sleeping spot, you're going to take your wet buff off, and whatever was wet, and your wet socks, and you're going to put them into a gallon Ziploc bag, and you're going to cuddle with them all night. That'll help keep some water transfer away. You're going to let your boots freeze and your liners freeze. But that's why they are the way they are, is because that doesn't matter. Okay. You bring this. Perfect. And then, if you want to live a bougie life and not be cold at all, even when it's really cold out, you bring a Neo Air, whatever, expensive ass thing that's going to probably leak or whatever. And what I learned with this is where it's probably going to leak is right here at the valve, because it's cold, it's negative 20 or 30 degrees, and you're going to fill it with saliva and air, and it's going to freeze, and it's not going to hold air anymore. So what do? You see these these sack things, you know, people using them, and you're like, you got scammed. Why the hell would you use one of these things to fill up your bag when you have lungs? Guess what? The air in your lungs is warm, and the air out, and it is really cold out. And guess what? I'm repeating myself. You're going to fill this up, and then the air is going to get cold, and it's going to shrink, and you're going to have to refill it, and then you slobbered all over this valve, and now it's not going to close anymore. And that solves your problems, right? It's already going to be cold air in here, no water on this. That's the secret. If you want to bring one of these when you're bivvying, it works. I don't like to bring them usually. You just kind of can. It depends how comfortable you want to be. You'll bring a pair of booties probably if you want to. I used to not. You can find some really light pairs that just squish down. These aren't great ones. But these are less of like a comfort at the end of the day walking around setting up your camp, and more of an emergency thing, because you did fall in water. Your feet are completely soaked. You did bring one extra pair of socks and a pair of garbage bags, you know? So if you're going to keep skiing that day, put on your fresh pair of socks, put the garbage bags over, put them in your boots. Sweet. It works pretty well. You'll be moving, so you'll be warm. But say you're not, and you need to build a fire because it's -40 out or whatever. You fell in overflow, and you're about to freeze to death. Now you put on your warm socks, put these on. You're not going to lose your toes anymore. You're going to be okay. You'll repeat your mantra. Okay, we're almost done. I bring a ruff, and I sew it on one of my lighter coats. You're going to want it if it's windy. You're going to want it. You don't need to bring goggles. Just bring a ruff. If you don't live in Alaska, I don't know where the hell you get them, but you can get them at the Alaska Feed Store for not that expensive. You're going to pack it away most of the time, and it's going to turn into this ugly rat type thing. You can comb it. It'll come back to life. All I do, and this is kind of unconventional, but bear with me, light leggings, wool or whatever, a pair of underwear, because if you're a boy and you're not wearing a puffy skirt or whatever, your junk will get cold in the wind. And I like these Under Armour, whatever, because they have pockets, and then you can put your InReach and your phone and everything there. It works great. And then I bring wool pants. Why do I wear wool pants? These like chino looking wool pant things. These things are so valuable. You can sweat like crazy and they breathe really well. You can kneel down in the snow. They get wet. They dry out while you're moving. They're freaking awesome. And people don't wear wool pants anymore because they don't live in the woods anymore when it's cold and wet. I blew out the crotch in these really bad. I just shoved a glove in my second layer underwear. It worked pretty good. They're heavy. The wind cuts through them. So if you're on the coast or something in AK, or it's just super windy, you're back up, you have your puffy pants, and you'll put them over or under whatever you're going to do. I'm probably going to actually not wear the wool pants next year. I'm probably going to get like wool sweatpants and then maybe light alpine climbing pants or something. But the alpine climbing pants can breathe. Like, it's just about breathing. And then if it's windy and the breathing is working against you because the wind is cutting through, then you have your puffy pants and you're all good to go. Last but not least, probably most important, what do you put on your feet? Should have addressed that with the boots. I found these sealskin socks. They're $70 freaking. That's okay. They're worth it. They're like neoprene or something, and they suck all the water out near around your foot, and they work pretty dang good. I'm a big fan of double socking. I get blisters like insane, and double socking tends to work. By day 2 or 3, nothing works, but the sealskin socks seem to work really well. And then I do bring Leuco tape. It works really well. I don't really use it, but I kind of always tell myself I'm going to. That's a Luke Mel thing. He's a really big fan of Leuco tape. If you put it on the day before, the night before, and you let it dry, it freaking sticks great. It's like Band-Aid stuff. And then one thing I actually started testing out and using that worked pretty well is this Salty Britches skin goo. Surfers use it for chafing. And I would put it on my feet in the morning, and I think worked. It helped quite a bit. I still got some blisters, but sometimes I chafe on the top of my feet, which is really annoying. And this goo, it did pretty good. It was better than like Vaseline or anything. It's salty. I don't want to. Yeah, it worked pretty well. But that's only for multi-day stuff. Single day stuff, the seal skins work great. At some point, your feet are gonna be in the ocean, you know. And if you're on a multi-day thing where you're never drying out, then you're just gonna have to have a good long recovery phase. But if you get to cabins, these dry out great. The liners dry out, and you can start anew. Start again. There's a backpack over here. I'm not even gonna fucking pick it up. It's a Hyperlight, one of those 70-liter Hyperlights. Worth the money, $400, I think. Worth it. Totally worth it. Use whatever backpack you want. If you want to pull a sled, I have no advice for you. But all this together, plus 3 liters of water and food for 3 or 4 days, your pack will be 30 to 35 to 40 pounds-ish. That's pretty heavy. But, I mean, it's worth it for feeling comfortable. So that's all I got. I have a headlamp. I use a Lupine headlamp. It's for mushing. I like that because it's got really big battery with it. I don't have to think about batteries. and it lasts forever. I'm not going to go into too much more stuff, though. This has already gone way overboard, but hopefully that helps. Hope that some people figured out some stuff from it. I don't know everything. I don't know hardly anything, actually. So if you disagree, that totally I understand, and I'm sorry, but you know, I think I put in 1,000 miles about. I had 800 in March, so it's March 10th. I had over close, doesn't matter, but in Alaska, all of them, all classic skiing, close to 1,000 miles in one winter, and then same with the winter before. So this system works for me. Look up Luke Mel. He's got way better information, way more concise. Hopefully you guys figured some stuff out. All right. Thanks for watching.